All right, welcome to episode 13. Today we are talking about soil conditioners. Mike, how you feeling?
Same as I was in episode 12.
We look eerily similar to episode 12.
Really similar.
Maybe, hopefully the people like our outfits.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
So when it comes to soil conditioners, generally, what is a soil conditioner?
Soil conditioner is anything that is applied to the soil that is not a fertilizer, because fertilizer is a government term of nutrients. So NPK, the 3 macronutrients, and then you have 72 trace nutrients. But the one thing they don't count is the biggest nutrient of all, which is carbon, which is what a soil conditioner is typically targeting in or is comprised of. So it's something that benefits the soil, that eventually benefits the plants, that is not fertilizer.
Gotcha. So what exactly is a soil conditioner meant to do?
Well, it's meant to structure and improve the structure of the soil. Improve the, when I say structure, everything from compaction, microbial health, cation exchange capacity, water buffering. It's there to improve those type of things, which are considered foundational things for soil health.
Interesting. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're using a soil conditioner?
Again, it kind of goes back to our thing about a lawn care. It's expectation. Mm-hmm. So it's not something that you're applying to fix your lawn. I mean, it eventually will, but it's the unseen thing, right? So it's kind of like you're buying something and applying it to fix something that you cannot see. So it's expectation of how soon it will show improvements or manifest its benefits.
Do you think a lot of people view soil conditioners similar to a fertilizer? Do you think they?
Oh yeah, I definitely think they do, but it's not what it is. So it's not. A lot of times it will. You can go out there and apply it and see really fast, good results. But it's sort of the principle of the staves. It's is it one of the weakest links? Is it the lowest stave? Then yeah, you're going to see results fast. But often or not, it's not. So yeah, it's just misconception.
You say often it's not. So is it pretty common for someone to have something going on with their lawn and then apply a soil conditioner and really see no benefits in the next 2 to 3, 4 or 5 weeks?
I mean, it's definitely something that you could do, because so if you've got good soil health and you're adding to the soil health, but if you've got really bad soil health, or if you've got dead soil, it's not a miracle worker. You're not going to be able to apply this and all of a sudden, boom, I got great soil health. Like, it's something you have to build over time, right? So it's a very foundational product. Mm-hmm. It depends on the current condition of your soil. Now, if your soil is just a little bit off, a lot of times the soil conditioner can turn it around really quickly. But if you just have a bad foundation of soil, it's going to take, it's what you have to put in there, but it's going to take it a while.
So it sounds like the current soil condition is really the main thing. It's not necessarily the conditioner itself. It's just what's going on underneath. And this thing is just trying to wake it up a little bit.
It's trying to wake it up, overhaul it, tweak it, optimize it, whatever term you want to use. But yeah, it's really what's going on underneath. And then what are we doing to change it and improve it?
What role do the microbes in the soil play when a soil conditioner is applied?
No, tremendous role. Microbes feed plants. So they're taking exudates or sugars. They're in turn then unlocking the nutrients that are in the soil and giving it to the plant for the exudate exchange. And so they're literally feeding the plant.
We're feeding the soil that feeds the plant.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's exactly what we do.
So can over-application of a soil conditioner be an issue in the same way that over-fertilization is?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, technically you could throw off pH balances and all that, but that's just not what happens. Like, you'd have to apply an awful lot. So the common mistake of over-application is you're wasting money, right?
Gotcha.
There's probably a point of diminishing returns that economically you're just kind of spending your money you shouldn't be doing, but it's not as far as like harming. Not really.
So it's a lot like the supplements that we take, the vitamin C, the vitamin D, where we're just taking way more than we need to.
Exactly. And soil conditioners are not cheap, so most people don't over apply them. So, but yeah, pretty much right. You take too much vitamin C, your body's just going to expel it.
How much of a factor does the frequency of watering and just your general schedule of watering play into the efficacy of a soil conditioner?
Not really. It's not going to play too much into the efficacy. It does play a really big difference into, like, if you're trying to grow a lawn, right, how deep the roots go, right? So you want to water long and deep instead of, quick 20-minute bursts throughout the week, because then you're just training shallower roots. Mm-hmm. So it has less to do with the soil conditioners as it does to training the root zone of the plant.
So last episode, we talked a lot about different lawn care companies coming out and fertilizing and some of the mistakes that they make. What if a lawn care company comes out and they're using a soil conditioner? What are some common mistakes they make?
Well, first of all, if they're using a soil conditioner, they're probably cutting edge and way ahead of the rest of the game, right?
Really? So this is not a common practice?
It is not a common practice whatsoever. So, and it should be. It really should be. But it's just not. Like, they're using the cheapest ingredients they can get a lot of times, and then they're moving on. But if they're using a soil conditioner, hats off to them. I'm not going to say they're making mistakes, because, they've at least advanced to getting that into their program, which is a pretty big thing.
What are some of the products that Southland offers that fits into that kind of soil conditioner area?
Well, Genesis, Omega, and Revival are sort of the three that flow into the area. So more humic acid, less microbes. It has microbes in Omega and Genesis. Omega is a typical summer blend, has more microbes, more microbial activity for warmer months. So the microbes are feeding when you get more fertilization. Then finally, Revival, it does all that, breaks down thatch and aeration. So more microbes and surfactants in that one.
Fascinating. We've talked a little bit on this podcast about humic and fulvic acids. We've done episodes on them. Mm-hmm. How do they improve the efficacy of everything else that's happening underneath the soil?
So let's, I'll give you one example. Fulvic acid is a really great chelator of iron. So if you put out, and iron's hard to get into a plant. You can go out there with different types of iron, and there's iron runs the gambit, right? You can get small molecular iron, high molecular iron. What you want is a small molecular iron, so it gets into the plant and greens it up quickly. So you can go out there and apply iron to the soil, plant can't get it. But if you put out fulvic acid with the iron on top of the iron, it's chelating it and literally transporting it across cell membranes into the plant, so you get green up faster. So, we kind of gamed a UGA report a couple of years ago. We're seeing if we could get fast spring green up. Well, we knew we could, because it was simply fulvic acid doing the trick. And, Genesis scored really high on the trials because of fulvic acid and early spring green up. That's what it does. So not to focus too much on that, but humics and fulvics, they sort of help unlock and transport different nutrients, and they chelate and bring them and make the little machine work. It's where if you just threw out the building blocks, the fertilizers, they would just sit there sort of inert and wash off versus getting active into a system.
So wrapping all this up, if someone has used a soil conditioner before, but they didn't see results, why do you think that would be, and what should they do differently next time?
Well, that's not the way it works. So going back to a building analogy, soil conditioners are the foundation. They're not the paint, right? Everybody's looking for the paint. Well, you can't paint a crappy house. So soil conditioners are the foundation of the house, and you have to put the foundation down in order to build up. So if you didn't see results, well, maybe your foundation's weak and we're trying to stabilize it. Or maybe you got a great foundation and we're just securing it. It runs the gambit of what we're trying to do. But I think the biggest thing is expectation, knowing what's going on in your soil, knowing what's going on in your lawn, seeing the signs. And are you over fertilizing and trying to paint with just taking care of the grass? Or are you really trying to build a foundation for a long-term, beautiful, lush lawn?
Sounds like someone's trying to take vitamin C supplements to get in shape.
Exactly. Yes.
It's all about knowing and setting expectations accordingly.
Yep. True.
Well, if you could simplify things and write in the easiest way to understand this, what is the one thing that you would want someone to take away about soil conditioners and long-term lawn health?
You're feeding the soil, which is the foundation of long-term lawn health.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, that is it for episode 13. In episode 14, we will be talking to Philip about our lawn, garden, and golf products. See y'all in the next one. Mike, get a little bit of time off.
Great.
Thanks.